Oh, hey there, everybody. Just a quick video that I made an alternative assignment in week 7 in module 7. So the assignment, as you can see in module 7, is to go out and find a article that was published in the peer-reviewed literature about an employee wellness program and critique the program's design against the information that we have talked about, the material we've talked about, concepts throughout this course. This is really an application assignment for you to say, okay, picking employee wellness as just a general topic, and we could have picked anything to apply these concepts, but it seems like it makes sense as a way to do this. But to say, okay, if we're developing a program that's going to hopefully help the well-being of our employees, are we addressing the right things within that program? And so the assignment then is to go out and find something that has been published or that's been described about and with outcomes about a program and critique that against these concepts. And I think that's a good way to just put this into practice and say, well, this one does a nice job at holism. This one maybe could do some things differently, that kind of thing. So looking at it from a critical eye. So that's the original assignment. And the deliverable on your end is to do a presentation about it, what you found, explaining the program, and giving your critique and comments and reflections and that kind of thing over, a 10-minute to 15-minute video of it using PowerPoint or that type of tool to deliver the information. So what I'd like to propose is you have an alternative to that assignment. So that's the original assignment, and you can do that one as it's laid out. That is absolutely just fine. But if you'd like to do this alternative assignment, that's okay too. And so the alternative is to use a generative AI, ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT to develop an employee wellness program. And so what I feel like this, the reason I kind of would like to do this is, first of all, to, I think, get some experience using artificial intelligence, particularly generative AI. And if you're unfamiliar with this tool, as I was a few months ago, I just have been dabbling in it over the last few months, but this tool will actually create new material, new content. It's not pulling information from the internet where someone has developed something and you get access to, say, another, somebody who has developed an employee wellness program. What ChatGPT does is actually develop a new program that hasn't been developed before. As an example, we're using it in this case. And so it takes all kinds of information that it gathers to be able to do this. And so what I'm curious about with this is, could a tool like ChatGPT develop an employee wellness program that incorporates the information that we've been talking about, or in the idea of wholeness and holism? Or would it create a program that is like many of the ones that are already out there, ones that are, as I like to call it, they're doing a lot of tinkering, but not really moving employees in a process of transformation? And that's my little bias here. I probably shouldn't have said that, but that really is the point of this and the back end of this, to give a little more context, I feel like, may be helpful so that you know. But employee wellness programs have been criticized for a long time in the literature and by researchers to say that they may not be doing what we hope they would. The outcomes don't appear to be the outcomes that we want from our programs, and that so there's a lot of money and effort being put into employee wellness programs, but they don't seem to be changing the well-being of the employees. And I think a lot of those criticisms are absolutely legitimate. There was one that was just published January 10th, I believe it was. But anyway, since our classes, kind of got up and rolling just right on the front end of that, it was from a British, very comprehensive data set of British employees, 40 plus thousand, and really showed that it had no effect at all on well-being. So that got me thinking. That was just one of many that have been published over the last several years. And so my take in all of this has always been, well, I think the research is solid that these folks are doing, and the critique is on point relative to the data that they're looking at. But I think on the other end of it, I don't think the formula, the secret sauce, the program itself has been is looking at the right things, as in it's probably doing the necessary tinkering, but it's not actually moving towards transformation that can lead to some real benefit for and lasting benefit for employee well-being. And it's a complex issue, no doubt about it. But so anyway, this is where this assignment comes in, given all of that information, and that there's some great information that says employee wellness is a good thing, and there's some great information that says it may not be a good thing. And maybe where it says it's good is just in a controlled research environment, but when you get out in the real life type of, where you're just looking at data sets from multiple programs that are running and reporting their data, that maybe it's not doing anything, and maybe it's because companies are just implementing programs because it's a perk that they feel like they need to, but there's nothing really behind it that can help employees truly gain a sense of well-being. So that's where this assignment comes from, and as you might guess, my slant is that this movement towards transformation is really something that we need to take seriously and pay attention to in many ways, but in an employee wellness program, certainly, rather than stopping at tinkering. Tinkering is necessary, as you've probably heard me say, and I've written about it several times, that tinkering is our way to go, and we need to start with tinkering, but it doesn't go far enough. It doesn't get us where we need to be. And I think this latest research shows this, that it's just not getting us far enough. So that's the whole point in this assignment, is to apply these holism concepts to an employee wellness program. It's something that I feel like I keep track of and understand and been around for a while. So it just made sense to me to do it that way. And this is probably not, it may not be familiar to you at all, but that's okay. It's just, a way to try to apply these concepts in something that we can really wrap our hands around and perhaps understand in a bit better practical context. So I, with the really quick implementation in lots of settings of generative AI, I feel like this is a good opportunity to explore that in this way. If you're interested. If you're not interested, it's totally fine. Just do the assignment as it was originally written. But if you're interested, if you have used generative AI before, ChatGPT or others, this may be something that you're interested in. If you haven't, maybe this is a way to actually see what that product does. And for the record, you probably have seen that we have a policy within our program that students are not allowed to use a generative AI program to create new content in a substantial way for an assignment, unless they have talked with their instructor, or it's part of, they've gotten further explanation, or it's part of an assignment. So you're not violating any policies because this is something that I'm asking you to do. And as you will see, I put a little blurb in the Blue Line site that says, we need to make sure that we reference this. So make sure that your material is referenced, as in ChatGPT is appropriately referenced. So we're not violating any academic misconduct here because I'm asking you to use the tool in this way. I think there's some really creative ways to use generative AI. We certainly don't want students to use that tool to just create a paper, write me a 10-page paper on lifestyle medicine, for instance. That would, that's what we're trying to avoid. But I think there's some creative ways to use generative AI, and this, I think, might be an interesting way to see what artificial intelligence would create relative to the notion of holism. Is it getting close? Is it far away? I think that would be interesting to find out. So that's why I put it in as an alternative assignment. So it's up to you. You can do one or the other. Certainly don't do both, right? But it's one or the other. And I would ask then one of the differences between these two, alternatives for this assignment is if you grab a research article, provide a summary of it in your presentation. If you are doing ChatGPT, what I'd love to see is how ChatGPT answered your question or questions. And if you haven't used this, you may have to do a little bit of work on the back end to get some information about how to use ChatGPT and how to ask questions. But what I stated in there is you can refine your question as much as you want. So you can ask an initial question and then ask it to continually refine it as much as you would like. That's up to you on how you do that. But I would love to see the final product of what it puts out. That would be super interesting. So if you have questions on this, let me know. But I'm excited to see how if this makes sense, and if we get some interesting findings from artificial intelligence relative to the notion of holism in the context of an employee wellness program. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.